Salutations, and welcome to you, you beautiful souls. Thank you for joining me here on Mr. Microcosm. Nosce to ipsum. Please allow me to introduce myself. I am your host, Mr. Microcosm. This channel contains my exegesis on all of the esoteric, occult, religious, spiritual, alchemical, mystical, magical, philosophical, and psychological texts and techniques which I have practiced and studied while creating my personal path and fostering self-unfoldment through disciplines of realization. It will also contain the reflection of my understanding of the universal song as it is right now, and it will continue to do so as that understanding grows, shifts, and changes as I myself grow and change. And I encourage you all to take a glimpse into my life as we grow our relationship together. Please allow me to serve you to the best of my capabilities. Fill the comment section up with your questions, and I will answer them the best that I can, and I will point you towards sources if you are interested. Before moving forward, please allow me to explain why I chose to operate under the epithet of Mr. Microcosm. It is something that I borrowed from Goethe's Faust. Now, recently I've come into contact with someone who told me that the proper pronunciation for his name is Goethe. But, being a reader, I have a propensity for mispronouncing many things, so he will always be Goethe to me. The remainder of this video will contain a brief explanation of what the microcosm is and the whole concept behind it. So, the first source I want to bring up comes from Kabbalism. Now, Kabbalism is the oral tradition that Moses was given on Mount Sinai. Mount Sinai is a version of Axis Mundi, and Axis Mundi is a whole nother concept for another time. But this particular source I am going to cite is Sir Arthur Edward Waite's The Holy Kabbalah. That which is above is in the likeness of that which is below. Now, Sir Arthur Edward Waite was the head of the Hermetic Order of the Golden Dawn. They were a secret society of mystical masons and practitioners of Western ceremonial magic. He's also well known for the Rider-Waite Tarot deck. Pamela Coleman Smith was also a member of the Hermetic Order, and she's the one that did all the artwork for them. But each one is a memory palace for esoteric and occult concepts. The magician was pointing up and down to represent as above, so as below, which is part of the correspondence from the Kybalion, which is one of the 7 Hermetic principles as laid out by Hermes, the thrice great. Now, the Hermetic orders are Hermetic orders because of Hermes. People believe that he is the founder, and if he isn't, some people speculate that it could be one of the Orpheuses. Now, yes, Orpheus was many people. He could have been 2 or 3 historically that all got lumped under one name. And the same thing with Hermes. People speculate that he was Thoth to the Egyptians and Mercurius to the Romans, but many people wrote under the pen name. For the next source we're bringing up is the Hermetica itself. Now, Scott, the author, he spent his lifetime translating these, and these texts come from about 100 BC to 100 AD, and that time range had many people writing under the name of Hermes. God, the master of eternity, is first, the cosmos is second, man is third. God, the maker of the cosmos and all things that are therein, governs all things, but has made man as a composite being to govern in conjunction with him. And if man takes upon him in all its fullness the function assigned to him, that is, the tendance which is his special task, he becomes the means of right accord to the cosmos, and the cosmos to him. Now, that adds a whole nother layer to what's going on, really, because we have to take it upon ourselves to live up to our destiny. I hold it to be true that each one of us is merely just the universe experiencing itself, but becoming the microcosm is a whole nother matter. G.I. Gurdjieff, in Search of Being, The Fourth Way to Consciousness, who was a Russian esoteric master, he writes, each of us is in full sense of the term a universe in miniature, a microcosm, including in ourselves all the matters making up the universe and operating under the same force and laws that govern the universe. In studying oneself, therefore, we can study the whole world, just as in studying the world, we can study oneself. All knowledge stems from self-knowledge. Know thyself has been a maxim since Socrates sought out the Oracle of Delphi. And the Oracle of Delphi was from the Elysian Mystery Schools. These secret societies have been passing on sealed information. The Hermetic orders are not only Hermetic because of Hermes, but the word Hermetic itself means sealed, or it has come to mean that in our language, because of this particular reason. One of the last sources I want to bring up is Moses Maimonides. He says, we have noticed about the similarity between the universe and the human being, but nothing would warrant us to assert that man is a microcosm. For although the comparison in all of its parts applies to the universe and any living being in its normal state, we never heard that any ancient author call the horse a microcosm. This attribute has been given to man alone on account of the peculiar faculty of thinking. I mean the intellect. He goes on to say that the force is God, blessed his name. It be on an account of this force that man is called microcosm, for he likewise possesses a certain principle which governs all forces of the body. So there you have it. This intellect, some people like Meister Eckhart attributes to God's grace. It is the thing that separates us from the animals. Our ability to reason. And Franz Hartmann says that the imagination is one of the first powers of the soul that meets us on this journey. Now, also, this isn't a direct reference to the microcosm itself, but Ralph Waldo Emerson has something to say. They adapt themselves to it as they may, but in proportion as a man has anything in him divine, the firmament flows before him and takes his signet and form. Not is he great who can alter matter, but he who can alter my state of mind. So, we're going to bring this up again, the state of the mind. The great Hermes was said to put all knowledge in a bowl for each man to search out and drink his fill. So even though we are the universe experiencing itself, in order to become the microcosm, we have to actually put effort forth. We have to discover who we are outside of what the world has told us to be. The psychologist Carl Jung said that it is a privilege of a lifetime to be who you truly are. We have to put a lot of work into that. Quantum physics tells us that the way we see the world actually changes the world. But before we can take this power onto ourselves, we have to get the world that shaped our vision out of our head so that we can see the world the way that we actually see the world. So much of us is determined by the culture that we come from, by our individual socialization. Now, before I end this, I want to bring it all back to Goethe's Faust. I chose this name because of it. When Mephistopheles first meets Faust, who is a medical doctor and has studied to be a priest, he's got all the knowledge that he could in his long life. Mephistopheles says, you don't need to introduce yourself. I know who you are, Mr. Microcosm. And that's what it is. Faust has done everything he can to accumulate the knowledge he needed to become who he was. In fact, he wasted his life and didn't enjoy it by doing so. And that lies the pitfall. We have to find a way to appreciate our existence while creating it. Now, Faust itself is often misinterpreted as a deal with the devil, but really it is a wager. And this is the wager in the exact wording. If e'er upon my couch stretched at my ease I'm found, then may my life that instant cease. Me canst thou cheat with glozing wile, that I be pleased with the repast. Me with joy's lure canst thou beguile, let that day be for me the last. Basically, what he's saying is that if he could ever be lured into sloth or pride, that if he ever stops his work or turns into something that he doesn't want to be, he knows that he's lost. And if we take Mephistopheles, the devil, as a metaphor for, you know, what passes for the ego, not the healthy ego psychologically, but the part of the ego that is beyond the I am. If we look at it like that, then if we ever turn and decide that we need pleasure more than to bring forth our true powers, then we've lost the wager with the devil. And that's just what it is. Our society has kind of, I don't want to say it in a harsh way, because the system that we have created ensures our survival, but it doesn't care for our growth. And in many ways, we are not growing at all. The psychologist Viktor Frankl said that if man can't find purpose, he will turn to pleasure. And this is very true. So many people go through their day and they have no idea who they are, who they want to be, what they're going to do with their lives. And they just go through the motions and seek out pleasure after pleasure because they have no idea what their purpose is. I like to lean into the poet Mary Oliver for this. She says, my work is loving the world. And that's that. So it's not up for me to tell you what your purpose is, but please do try to find that purpose for yourselves. Well, thank you for the time. If you made it all the way here, please like and subscribe. Help me get out of, wage slavery so that I can spend more time in my library and get away from, the stresses that would turn me towards a life of pleasure. And, well, until next time, please take care of yourself and each other. Goodbye.